Welcome to today's webinar, Becoming a Teams Power User with these top 10 tips. I'm Christine. I'll introduce myself a little more in a second, but I'm really excited about this webinar. Actually, it was kind of tough because I was given the task of coming up with, the top 10 tips for teams. And I love teams. I love teams. But there are so many cool tips that I could come up with. It was so hard to narrow it down. I'll go through what I'm going to cover in a few minutes, but I'm hoping I can kind of add a few more than 10. We'll see what the time's like, but I don't think you'll argue with that. If I can fit in as many as I can, I'll fit it in. Plus, I want to be able to take your questions too. But yeah, it's going to be a fun webinar. So before we start the webinar, I am Christine Irons. I've run a few webinars in the past. I've been working with the Great Canadian Training and Consulting Company and CompuEase as a computer instructor, courseware designer. I've been doing this for about 3 years. And before I started working here in Ottawa, I was actually living in Toronto, working at York University. I was there for a long time at York University, basically doing the same things. I was teaching faculty and staff technical courses, doing the courseware, designing the help desk. So I have years and years and years of experience in the technical side of things. And just our little fun tidbit for those of you that have been in my webinars before, you know this, but if I'm not training, I'm singing. I love singing, and I'm the blonde in the Ottawa-based ABBA show, the SOS, the ABBA Experience. So we travel around Ontario and we do shows, and they're starting up again, guys. I'm so excited. They're starting up again. Looks like we've got some shows starting at the end of August. So yep, if I'm not teaching, I'm singing. That's my life. Okay. Now we're using the Zoom platform, and I have to tell you guys that we have now switched from using RingCentral to using Zoom, and the webinar was originally set up using RingCentral, but we have made the switch to Zoom. So we apologize if you receive multiple emails from us, but it is because we did switch platforms sort of in the middle of setting up these webinars. So sorry if you did get multiple emails, but that's the reason. Things will settle down again, and it's going to be Zoom from this point on. But yeah, you're using Zoom. If you haven't used Zoom before, I did want to point out, just in case you didn't notice, that you do have a control toolbar in Zoom where you can mute yourself. And there is a little chat button. I would advise finding the chat button for a couple of reasons. One is if you're having any technical issues at all during this webinar, just pop a chat in. We have Melanie here. She's already put a chat in there to help you out. I was just looking, Mark. Hi, Mark. Nice to see you. Or not see you, but hear you, I guess, or chat with you. But we do have Melanie here, so just pop a chat in. She'll help you out. And the other reason is that I will answer questions. So if you do have any questions, put them into the chat. You can do it during the webinar, or you can do it at the end of the webinar. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try not to look at that chat screen. But I am going to just teach the webinar first, just to get through it nice and smoothly. And then I'll save time at the end of the webinar to answer all your questions, or everything I can get to. So definitely use that chat screen. And if your connection drops at all during the webinar, just connect again. Just go back to that email with the link, or if you called in on your cell phone, just call in on the cell phone again. And the webinars will be made available to you afterwards. So if you need to go back to something that I talked about, they do go up on YouTube and they go on our website. But because you guys are attending this webinar, you guys will all receive an email with a link to the recorded version of this webinar. So it'll make it easy for you guys. Okay. So just really quickly, just a couple of slides here, and then we're going to start into the webinar. I know people get confused because I do mention two different companies. I mentioned Great Canadian Training, which, by the way, if you have attended training with us or have attended our webinars, you'll know that I've been referring to JN Software. It's now called Great Canadian Training. So that was JN Software. So I talk about Great Canadian Training and I talk about CompuEase. Really, they are just sister companies and they basically provide the same like the same kind of training options and consulting options and database support options. The couple of differences are, first of all, where you're located. Basically, like if you're in Ottawa or you're in the Quebec area, you're going to go through CompuEase. If you're anywhere else in Canada or the States, or quite frankly, anywhere in the world, we're training across the world. Anywhere else, you'll go through Great Canadian Training. So that's one big difference. Other than that, both companies provide on-site and online public and private training. In Ottawa, the benefit of being in Ottawa, or just maybe over on the Hull side, is we also have a training center downtown, a beautiful big training center. So you can actually come to courses in the training center if you want. But all the online courses that we teach, if you decide to take them online, they're all live instructors. You guys never have to worry about any pre-recorded, that's how you're doing your training. You can take the training with an online live instructor. Okay, so, and they do custom application and database development support. There's so many reasons that I could say to you, oh, you got to do training with Great Canadian Training or CompuEase. So many great reasons. I'm just going to choose one, and it is my favorite one. Your courses are never going to be canceled. Like, it's amazing. If you take a course, you sign up for a course with us, even if there's low enrollment, summertime, everybody's on vacation, they won't cancel. So you're guaranteed you can get the course if you need it, which is great. But many great reasons. And we offer software training, like all the Microsoft products, basically, the Adobe products, specialty products like SQL, VBA, things like that. Oh, I love looking at the chat. SQL, things like that. But if you want to take a specific course and you don't see it on our website, just contact us. I will bet you we can offer the course. So don't just go by what's on the website. And we're always adding to the website. So keep checking in. And we offer the professional skills training too. So things like time management, business development, project management, things like that. Hey, Selma. Okay, I told you it was quick. Okay, and I will show you guys the websites at the very end when I'm waiting for your questions to come in. I'll just show you quickly because we have the new Great Canadian Training website. It's so nice. It's so nice looking. But what am I going to cover in this webinar? So it's the top 10. So this is the way I organized it. I have a couple, about 3, I think, tips for meetings. If you guys ever run your video meetings, I'll show you 3 tips. There's one, they just added a new feature that I love. I'm going to show you. Then I'm going to move into several tips for working inside your teams and channels. And I wish I had time to teach you guys today. If you don't know what teams and channels are, I wish I had the time to teach you all about what teams and channels are. I'm going to have to assume you know, but it's not going to be a big deal anyway. The tips will still be very relevant to you. But if you really want to learn teams in depth, just sign up for a course. I will teach it to you in depth. And then I have some general tips. I have a couple of general tips I'll show you. And then because I had such a hard time narrowing it down, I'm calling them honorable mentions. So I have a couple that if I have the time, plus I'm going to give you the time to be able to put your questions in, I'll show you what I have, a couple of tips for what I call honorable mentions. So hopefully I have the time to get to it. We'll see. Oh, I could show you so much more. It's crazy. Okay. So without further ado, what I've done is I'm using my full Teams install. I am going to, let me just shrink my screen here. I have started a meeting right now. Got Jim Irons in the meeting right now. So I'm going to use this to show you a couple of the meeting tips. Then I'll close this meeting window and I'll bring over my regular Teams screen to show you the rest of the tips. But I am currently in a meeting right now. And the first tip I'm going to show you is if you're the organizer of the meeting, if you've set up the meeting, when you invite participants to your meeting, there are two ways, two settings for participants. There is presentation mode, they're presenters, or they're attendees. A lot of people don't realize this. And when you set up the meeting, the default is all of your participants are presenters. And what a presenter means is anybody can share their screen. Anybody can boot other people out of the meeting. They can mute other people, believe it or not. They have control like that. If you want to make sure that your participants don't share or don't mute or don't boot, you can make them attendees. Now you can do them one by one. So when you start the meeting, you could load the participant list. You know, you have your little participant list icon up at the top on the control toolbar. And you can mouse over each person, go to the ... and then you can make them attendee. But if you have a lot of people, you really don't want to do this, especially if you're just about to start the meeting. So there are meeting options you can set. And one of the options is you can ahead of time make everybody an attendee. And you can still go in and make a certain person a presenter if you want. You still have control like that. But that's just one of several meeting options. And I can tell you, in the past, when I was teaching you Teams, it was really not a very pleasant way to show you how to get to your meeting options. You actually had to leave Teams completely and go to a website to do it. Now, what they've done is this. Up on your control toolbar here at the top, there's a little ... You guys have probably seen this, the more actions button. This is where, like, this is your entire sort of meeting settings you have for the meetings is going to fall all in this menu here. And they've just added recently meeting options. So beautiful. So if I click on it, it actually loads here within Teams, the meatball option within Teams. It doesn't take you to the website. You can do things like, if you know what a lobby is, you can set it so that people have to go to the lobby first and then you have to admit people into your meeting. I know there are purposes behind it. I just like having everybody attend the meeting, but people like to set up a lobby. Right now, everybody can bypass the meeting, but you have several options in here. They basically go at the bottom from the most restrictive, meaning you're the only person that can bypass the lobby, but everybody else has to get permission from you, all the way up to the least restrictive. You know, you can announce or not when people enter your meeting. You can do things like you can take control over people's mics and cameras so that they can't turn on their mic or turn on their camera. But here right in the middle, who can present? There you go. Everyone. Everyone's a presenter. But you can change it to something like only me. And I'll do that right now. I'll say, I'm the only presenter. So right now, I know I only have one person in the meeting. Let me go back to my participant list. But right now, I'm the only one that can share my screen, mute, boot other people. If I had a whole list of people here, but I wanted Jim Irons to be able to present, all I have to do is mouse over his name, go to the ... and then, oh, I thought I had said it. But anyway, make him a presenter. And then he's a presenter and everybody else is an attendee. So here are all your meeting options. You guys, you can log into this meeting before the meeting happens. You can log into it in the morning of the meeting and be the only one logged in and in the meeting, and you can set your options and then get out of the meeting and wait. So that's my first tip, your meeting options. The second one, this is the one I really love. Now, it could be because I'm an instructor and this is really helpful for me when I'm training, but I'm going to have to turn off my Zoom video to show you this, because I'm going to have to turn on my video in my Teams meeting. So let me turn on my video for my Teams meeting here. Okay, here's my video for my Teams meeting, my little office behind me. I want to share my screen in my Teams meeting. So let me pretend I've got a PowerPoint presentation up here. I'll go back to my, well, it doesn't really matter. I'll go back to my Teams meeting. Okay, so I've got a presentation in the background. Everybody can see my video on the bottom. That's typical. You know, they run along the bottom, but watch this. There's something called Standout Mode, or they call it Newscaster Mode, both, okay? When you go to share your screen, so you go up to your control toolbar at the top, there's that little white square with the little arrow up, share content. What they have added, okay, they always had whether you want to share your screen, share your windows, share PowerPoint Live. We teach all of this to you in the Teams training, what the difference is with all of these sharing options. But what they've added is up here at the top, there are two little buttons now. Content only, that's what it's been as a default for, you know, a couple of years in Teams. But they added this little button here called Standout. That's what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to put it in Standout mode, and then I'll choose what I want to share. So I'm going to share the screen with this PowerPoint presentation behind. Now, the thing is, you're not seeing anything right now. It gets a little confusing because I'm in a Zoom meeting with you as well as a Teams meeting, but I have a little window that I'm going to drag over to show you what participants see, which is really cool, and I'll maximize the screen. They are stuck with me. So when you're giving the presentation, I could run the presentation right now, but I could have an Excel screen behind me. So I'm teaching you Excel, but you see me, I can just put my camera, like, you know, I could be off to the side. Keep your attention while I'm giving the presentation, talk to you. You know me, I'm really animated. Keep you entertained because you're not in a classroom and it's really tough, right? So here I am, I can point to things and, oh, it won't show up on this little, yeah, you probably, I'm not sure if you guys can see this because of the Zoom meeting, I'm not sure, but I just moused over the top of my screen and a little bar pops up at the top where I can switch. The two little buttons are there where I can switch it back to contents only, meaning I'm not in standout mode. I'm just a video at the bottom. Plus I can also stop presenting. So if you can't see this, I'm not sure on your end, just mouse over the top of your screen. You'll get a little bar pop up. So right now I'll click stop presenting. And then I'm just not sharing my screen anymore. Okay, you do see it. Oh, good. It is very cool. It is really cool. I love it. I'm starting to use this with all the training courses that I'm teaching right now. So, okay, so that's standout view. Now, another option that people, they don't know it exists is, well, a lot of people know that they can record a meeting. So you can set it to record your meeting. But did you know that you can actually get a transcript of the meeting, like a text transcript? And now I noticed when I was playing with this just recently, because they're always doing updates in Teams. It seems like, you know, every few days there's an update, things change. I used to kind of show you a long way around getting a transcript, but what I noticed is they did add a new menu item. I'm going to show you the menu item. Not all of you might have it because what you have to do is you have to talk to your IT people, your IT admin, because they have to go into your Teams admin center to turn on the option to allow you to get the transcript. And if they haven't turned it on, you will not have the option I'm going to show you here in the menu, but that's okay because I'm going to show you the way that I used to do it. So you're going to have both options anyway. But what I noticed is up at the top, that little dot, dot, dot again, the more actions, they have now just added start transcription. If you click that, I'm not going to click it because I want to show you the other way. If you click that, once your meeting has ended, it will give you the transcript in your Teams. Now, again, I don't have the time to teach you about whether you should be scheduling your Teams meeting inside a channel in Teams or whether you can just schedule a Teams meeting and not care what channel it's in, because that way it's going to go into your private chat. I could get into all that with the training, but your transcript will either appear in the channel that you set up the meeting in or go to your private chats, your little chat bubble on the left on the navigation bar. I'll point it out when I show you my Teams screen, and you'll see your meeting there and the transcript will be there. But if you don't have that, what you can do is this. You can click start recording. Now, what I'm going to have to do is I'll have to turn on my mic. Otherwise, I'm not going to get a transcript. So it's probably going to give me echo. I don't think it'll give you guys echo. I think it'll just be me. 1, 2, 3. Not too bad. Okay. Now I'll start recording. It takes a minute, and you cannot record without other people knowing you're recording. They'll all get the banner across the top telling them that you're recording. Okay, there it is. Okay, we're now recording. Just while I was waiting for it to record, I was looking. There's some really great comments here. I can't wait to get to them at the end of the webinar. So we're just recording the meeting right now. I'm going to just stop the recording because I don't want to make it too long so we don't have to wait too long for the recording to show up. Okay. So the recording is being saved. Hopefully it saves really quickly. Now what I'll do is I'm going to leave this Teams meeting and I'm going to drag my regular Teams screen over onto the monitor where you can see it. So I'm going to hang up this meeting. And by the way, just a quick tip, this isn't one of my top 10, but I don't know if you guys noticed the leave button, they now have a drop down. So it used to be that if you left the meeting, even if you were the owner of the meeting, if you left the meeting, everybody else was still in the meeting. You weren't, everybody else still was, but now you have the option to actually end the meeting or just leave yourself. So I can end the meeting so that it hangs up on Jim too. So he's being hung up on right now. End. And let me bring my Teams screen over here. Okay. All right. Now I'm hoping, but put it in the chat, guys. I hope by sharing my Teams screen, it did not stop the sharing on my Zoom screen, because now I was sharing with 2 different platforms, but I think we're okay. You should still see my screen. So, okay, it's still okay. Okay, perfect. So, oh, I actually didn't set up that meeting in one of my channels. So here's the chat bubble I was talking about on the far left. I have to go here and I should have my webinar discussions meeting here. There is my meeting right here. And just to let you know, when you record a meeting, what happens is it saves your recording in something called Microsoft Stream. Microsoft Stream is like YouTube's or Microsoft's YouTube kind of. That's where you can save videos, edit videos, work with videos. It's if you have a 365 account, which you should, if you're using Teams, you have a 365 account, you have access to Microsoft Stream. And the reason I'm telling you that is if you mouse over the video that you recorded, there's a dot, dot, dot again, dot, 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 more options, open in Microsoft Stream. So I'm going to choose that. Now it's going to load the Office website. If you're not logged in, it'll ask you to log in with your email and your password, you know, your typical email and password, and then you'll be, there it is. Oh, great picture of me. There's my webinar to record without other people knowing you're recording. They'll all get the banner. Okay. There's my transcript over here. There's the whole transcript. You can copy, you can paste it, you can download it. You can even, if you're looking through the transcript, you can actually click on areas and it actually jumps to that part of your video. So if you need the transcripts, there they are. And if you need to download the video, if you want to actually download it to your computer, only if you're the one that started the recording, by the way. Whoever did the recording, whoever turned it on is the one that has the access to download it. So underneath your video down here, there's another ... Big tip, guys, just look for the ... These are all the buttons that are going to give you all your options. So this ... more actions, I can download the video and it downloads as an MP4 file, which is great because I heard that WebEx has changed and WebEx has its own format for videos now, which sometimes causes a problem. So this is great. This is why I love using Teams for the meetings. Okay, so there's your third tip for your meeting tips. Now I'm going to get into the Teams and channel tips. I'm trying to move through these quickly so I can get to as much as I can. Okay, so down on the left side here, the navigation bar, I'm going to go to Teams. I have a whole bunch of teams set up. I set up my awesome movie project team and I have channels, which are just topics of conversation inside my team so that we're organized. So for example, I have a video editing channel and there have been some discussions going on in here. If you want to run a quick poll, maybe you want to poll people, maybe it's lunch hour and you know you're going to be going out with a bunch of people in your team and you don't know what everybody wants to eat for lunch, so you want to run a quick poll. You can do that inside your channels. So if I go down to the bottom, there's a button that says new conversation where you can start a new chat, right? Underneath is a little toolbar with a bunch of buttons. At the very end, again, I didn't even think about how many times these appear. The ... If I click the ... look at that, Microsoft Forms. That's another Microsoft application that comes with 365. You can go to your office.com account where I showed you where Stream was, and you can load the full version of Microsoft Forms. So you can create these really elaborate forms that people can fill in and you can share them with people by email and collect results. But what you can do right here is create a simple poll. So I can click on Forms. And then I can ask a question like, what do you want to eat for lunch? And then, I don't know, option number 1, hamburgers. Option number 2, pizza. And then I can add another option. Let's, for the healthy people, salad. And I do want to share my results. So I'm just going to click save. Oh, it's not, eh? And I will send. So save and send. Okay, so some of you might not have the option available yet. I do have to tell you, and I tell you this during the Teams training, it's kind of tough because all of the different government departments and the different organizations, it's up to the people that set up your Teams environment, what they're going to allow, what they're going to disallow, what they're going to restrict. So yeah, sometimes I hear things like, no, we can't do polls, or we're not allowed to create a team ourselves, that kind of thing. So, I mean, hopefully some of you do have this option because it's kind of neat. So everybody in the channel is going to see this. What do you want to eat for lunch? They can choose, let's say I'm in the mood for pizza, and I can submit my vote. And down here at the bottom, give it a second, you'll start seeing, oh, there you go, 100% want pizza. But you'll start seeing those results come in. And if you decide, if you do have that option available, you'll notice that even though I used the poll down here at the bottom, I still have to go to the dot, dot, dot again to load it. If you think you want to use it a lot, you can right click that little icon and choose pin. And if you pin it, it stays there on your little toolbar. So you don't have to keep going to the dot, dot, dot. You can always right click it and unpin it. Okay. Another tip. What are we on? 3, 4, 5. I guess tip number 5. You can forward emails to your channels. So I had somebody send me an email. Let me show you here. So here's Jim. He sent me an email here with some information. He's got an attachment, and I would really like a copy of this inside this channel because I think everybody would be interested in this, including the hold on one second, just one sec. Hold on. I think I have this one because I don't think that has anything in that attachment. Oh, it doesn't really matter. I can just forward anything. All you need is the channel email. And as long as you have the channel email, you can forward any email to that channel. And to get the channel email, this is all you have to do. So if I go back to Teams, I want to forward it to the video editing channel. There's a dot, dot, dot. So if I click the dot, 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 I can get email address. And I know it's kind of an ugly email address, but it doesn't really matter because all you're doing is copying the email address. So if I click copy, then I go back to my email. I'm just going to click, oh, this one, I can't forward this one. Oh, here's a good one. Okay, so I'll click forward. No, I can't forward that one either. How about one with a picture? Forward. Okay, then I'll paste the email address in. Click send. And give it a second. There it is. It just got sent to the channel. Now the picture shows up here. I can see less, but all the contents of the email will show up and the attachment will be there. Now that was a picture, but the actual attachment, if it was a Word document or an Excel file, you would see it right here. Everybody would have access to it, as well as if you go up to the top where you have your files tab, if you were to go to files, the attachment would be there as a file under the folder called email messages. Oh, okay. So I'll get to your questions there afterwards. So all you do is mouse over the channel, click the dot, 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 get email address. Copy it, paste it. Yeah, and I have heard that that is one option that can be disabled. So if it's something that you need, well, it can be disabled a couple of ways, guys. One is it can be disabled by your IT, like the overall teams don't let people get their channel email addresses. But there is also an option in your team, per team, the dot, dot, dot beside the team. You can manage the team. And up at the top, you have settings. And there is a setting in here, I think it's under member permissions, where you can, it disallows people to get the email address from channels, and you just have to turn it on. I don't really have time to go through it now, but check it out because you might be able to turn it on. It might be turned off on the team. Unless somebody else created the team, then you'll have to ask them. And then the other option or the other tip I have that has to do with email, and I didn't even realize you could do this until recently. Teams or Microsoft is trying to make Teams kind of like a one-stop shop where you load Teams in the morning and you can basically do all of your work inside of Teams. You can use it to communicate with people, have your meetings, share your files and collaborate on files. And then people will say, yeah, but I still need to access my email. So I still have to leave Teams to go and get my email. You can actually add your email into a channel. You could set up a channel. You can add calendars, you can add emails. So you could add a channel with a shared calendar, but then what you can do is this, and I will explain this a bit better. Let me show you the process of adding it, and then I'll explain how it works. But you can go to a channel. I'll just use the video editing channel. And up at the top where you have these tabs, the posts, the files, the wiki, you can add another tab. So I'll click the plus symbol. You can add apps like applications. You could add, like I used to do in Planner. I don't know if any of you guys ever use Planner. You can add apps like that into your team. But I am going to choose website. So I'm going to click on website. And I'll just call it my email. And then where the URL is, if you've copied the URL, you can paste it. But the URL to get your email is, now you have to type the http:// you know, the secure https://. But then the URL is outlook.office.com. That's it. Outlook.office.com. And I will save. Oh, it's going to ask me which account I want to use. I'll use my Great Canadian Training account. And it opens up all my email in that tab. So if I happen to be on posts, reading posts inside the channel, I could always switch over to my email to check my email, respond to things, whatever I have to do, go back to posts. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, why would I want to do that? Because I've just added my email to a channel that 10 other people have access to, because they're all on the team. So they all have access to the channel. So are 10 other people going to be reading my email? But no, what happens is everybody else that's logged into Teams with their own Teams account, when they click the tab that they see that says my email, it's going to be their email because they're logged in with their account. So no, other people aren't going to read your email. So yeah, I just learned that one recently. And then another tip I wanted to show you is you can save messages. Like if there was a chat going on inside one of your channels, and again, maybe you're meeting for lunch. Can you guys tell I'm hungry? I haven't eaten today. But maybe you're going to go somewhere for lunch, and somebody sent the address and the phone number and whatever of the restaurant you're going to, and you don't want to lose it because the more you chat, the more it's going to disappear. You can mouse over any conversation, and in the top right, there's a ... And then you can choose save this message. And I'll show you in a second, if I can get to it, I'm trying to get through this. I'll show you another way that you can save the message, but you can use the ... save message. When you want to get to your saved messages, now they kind of buried this, but in the top right corner of your Teams where your little profile, your account profile picture, or some of you have your initials up there at the top right, if you click on it, there's your option for saved. So if you go to saved, here are all the messages I saved. When you click on a message, it takes you to that message. Click, it takes you to that message. So you don't lose those messages that are important. And if you want to remove them from saved, you can click that little, it looks like a certificate or a ribbon in the top right, and it just removes it from your saved. And then you can go back to Teams. So yeah, that one I use all the time. The last Teams and channels tip that I'm going to give you is at mentions. Now, some of you maybe use at mentions already, but I think I'm going to show you something that you may not know with at mentions. Some of you have never used at mentions, so I'll explain it to you. When you have conversations, so let's say I go down here and I start a new conversation and I type something that's kind of important, and maybe it's important to one specific person that I really need them to not miss this little chat that I'm putting in here. If you at mention the person, they will get notified. They'll get a little pop-up notifying them. They'll up in their top left corner activity. There'll be a notification that they've been at mentioned. They'll see things go bold. There's so many different ways they're told so they don't miss something. But all an at mention is using that at symbol. So I could type the at symbol and then start to type the person's name. So I'm going to at mention Jim Irons. I'll click on his name. And then, you know, whatever I want to say to him, and then press enter. And Jim, I'm not logged in with this account. I can't show you, but Jim, trust me on this, will be notified that he's missing, that he needs to go and check this out because he's been at mentioned. He'll actually on his end, even the conversation on his end will have a little red in the top right corner, a little round red circle with the at symbol to notify him, hey, your name's been mentioned here. I mean, I use this all the time in things like Messenger and the different other communication platforms that I use. It's used everywhere. But in Teams, you can also at mention channels and teams. So, you know, I could at mention the whole team, the Awesome Movie Project team, at Awesome Movie Project. And then whatever I need to say to them, and when I press enter, then everybody that's on your Awesome Movie Project team will, here's a little red symbol you can see. This is for the team at mention. Everybody will get that, so it'll stand out and get notifications. But what I really wanted to show you is, what if you found that you were quite frequently at mentioning sort of like a subgroup of people? So for my Awesome Movie Project, I have, I don't know, 3 or 4 editors. You can create an at mention group. So you might have 100 people on your Awesome Movie Project team, but 5 editors. And you don't want to have to at mention every single editor every time. In that case, what you do is go to where your team is on the left and click the ... and go down to manage tags. At mentions are tags. You're tagging people. So manage tags, and I'm going to create a tag. I'll call it editors. And then down here, I have to start typing names. I don't know how many people I have on this Awesome Movie Project. I guess Jim's the only one on my Awesome Movie Project, but I could add several names here and then create. So if I go back to, let's say, my video editing channel and I start a new conversation and I just want to notify the editors, I just type at editors. And even though there are 100 people on the team, it's just going to notify the people that I set up as the editors. It's kind of like if you've ever done those group emails where you always send to the same 10 people, you can create kind of a distribution list for your emails so you don't have to type their emails in. Okay. The last 2 that are under general tips that I'm going to show you is up at the top in the search bar. I'm going to show you what a slash command is and what the at symbol does. So you can use the at symbol up there as well, but it has nothing to do with tagging really. But I'm going to start with the slash command. So if I click up in the search and I type /, I'm going to get a big menu of / commands, and it describes each one. This is where you can become a power user. So you don't have to navigate around and find things. For example, right now, I think I'm set on, I'm in a meeting. Yeah, I'm in a meeting in Teams, like don't disturb me. If I want to show that I'm available, I don't have to go and click up here and then find the availability option. I could just type / available. I can click on it or I can continue typing, press enter, and look at this, watch it turn. It's being set to available. There it is. Now I'm available. Or I could click up here and do a /DND for do not disturb. Enter. And now it's set me to do not disturb. And there are several of these power commands that you can use. I'm trying to think, like if you want to chat with somebody, a private chat up here, let's say I wanted to chat with Jim, I could do a /chat space. So you put a space on the space bar, and then I can start to type his name, or he shows up here. And then I could type a message and it will just send to his private messages, which I won't bother doing that now. There's also one of the /, if you look down here, is what's new. That's helpful. Remember I told you Teams, they are always updating Teams. So if you type /what's new and press enter, it will give you by date the different things that they've been adding to your Teams. There was another one I had wanted to, oh, I showed you how you can save a message. Remember I said you can click the ... save a message, and then to find your saved messages, you had to go up to your profile picture up here. Well, you don't really have to, because there is the /saved option. So if you type /saved and press enter, it will automatically load your saved messages. I mean, there's so many of them in there. Check them out, guys. Whatever you can use, start using it. It just takes a couple of times using these, and then they become second nature. And then the other thing I was going to show you is using the @ symbol up there. Now, what I've done is I have added some apps to my Teams. That's another thing we teach you in the Teams training. You can add apps to channels. You can add apps to your Teams bar over here. There's a little apps button. They're applications. Some of them are apps, like I said, like Planner, OneNote, you know, Word. You can add it inside Teams. But some of the apps are things like I've added an app called Reminders. So I can actually set a reminder if I have to get back to somebody in Teams. But I added 2 apps. One was called the Weather app, and one's called Places. So one's Weather and one's Places. So I've already added these apps. Now what I can do is this. Up in my search bar, if I type @weather space, and then I can type Ottawa and press, well, I don't even have to press enter. It should come up. It's going to tell me what the temperature is in Ottawa. And by the way, see, right now I'm in Fahrenheit. If you want to switch yours to Celsius, if you go back up to your little profile, your little account in the top right, and then go down to manage account. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see general. And down here, the app language. Mine's set to English United States. I could set it to English Canada. It's just that it's going to ask me to reboot Teams, and I don't want to reboot it now. But that's where you can set it. And then your weather will show you in Celsius automatically. Then, like I said, the other app that I have is Places, which is kind of neat. So let's say I'm in a team and I'm in my video editing channel. And I'll start a new conversation. Oh, I haven't sent this conversation here. Okay, and I'm starting a new conversation. And again, let's talk food, guys. Let's say we are going to go for lunch, but you know, maybe we're going to go to a cafe in Ottawa, and I don't quite know which one we should go to. So what I can do is go up here to the search bar and type @places space, and then I'll type something like Ottawa cafe. And it's going to give me a list of all the different cafes. And it could be anything, restaurant, movies, whatever, it doesn't matter. But let's say I think, oh yeah, we can go to the Byword Cafe. I like that place. If I click on it, it loads the map, the address, the phone number, everything. So what I can do up in the top right here, there's a little icon that I can click on and choose. It copies it to the clipboard. I'll close this. And then down in my new conversation here, I can just paste it and send it and say, hey guys, let's meet here. Here's all the information. They can even get directions. They can go to the website. So that @ symbol will access different applications that you have installed. And there are a couple of two that you might want to look into. If you click on apps, you can do a search for those. So one's reminders with a Z at the end. This one was places, and then the other one is weather. Again, I can show you all that in training. If you ever decide to take the full training, it's a lot of fun. I'm just keeping my eyes on time, guys. Do I have time to show you? Okay, you know what? I'll just show you one more quick thing. And I like this, and this is the way I work. It does, I have to admit, it takes maybe half a day of working like this before you're used to it, but then you don't want to go back to the way it was. When people first see it, they go, no, 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 I don't like it, but it is so much easier on the eyes. This is the normal view of Teams. Up in the top right where my little icon is up here, and I go to manage account where I had you earlier. Under general, I set my Teams to dark mode. This is the default I'm on. I'll show you what dark mode looks like. I know you're gonna say, oh, I don't know if I like this, but it is such a relief on the eyes, and you get so used to it in dark mode. You can actually do this in a lot of other applications on your computer. You could set your Google Chrome for dark mode, YouTube. I have YouTube in dark mode. It gets rid of eye strain like you wouldn't believe. It just takes a bit to get used to it, but you won't want to go back. But if you want to go back, you just go back to your little icon here, go to manage account, go to general, and then set it back to default. There's high contrast for people that have low vision as well. Okay, I saw a lot of questions coming in, so I want to make sure I get to these questions. I wish I could keep going and going and going for you guys. So I'm going to give you just a minute to pop more questions in. So go ahead and put your questions in. And while you're putting your questions in, I'm just going to point out really quickly, this is the CompuEase website, compuease.ca. This is the Great Canadian Training and Consulting Company website. On the CompuEase website, you can access our courses through the course list, and then you can also access our free resources here, which I am going to show you, but I'll show you through the Great Canadian Training website. But course list, free resources up here, okay? But what I'll do is I'll go to the Great Canadian Training. So you have your courses here. I could choose from the list here, or click on all courses. And if I click on all courses, my list will come up as well. So just as an example, since I'm teaching you Teams tips, here's Teams training. So we have a half day of Teams training, which is like an overview. And then we have a full day of Teams training, Teams Complete, where you will learn everything inside and out from beginning to end. And you can register. It's a simple registration process. So really easy to register for the courses. What I would really like to show you guys is the free resources up here. We have so many free resources for you, like, you know, the webinars, right? Here, if I click register, it's not just going to take you to a registration page. It's going to actually list the webinars, and you can choose what you want to register for. So right now you're in the Teams Power User webinar. Next month I have if you're ever interested in anything, like you've heard of Power Query, Power Pivot, dashboards, I'll just show you sort of an overview of what Power Pivot, Power Query are, how you can kind of use them to get your data ready so that you can put together an Excel dashboard. Help your team stay organized with Microsoft To Do Planner. Oh, remember I said to you, I use To Do and Planner all the time. So I'll show you what Microsoft To Do is, what Planner is, and how I can integrate them into Teams. So lots of great webinars. Check them out. But there are other free resources. Like we have Joel Silverstone. He's the one that teaches all of our professional skills courses. Well, I mean, we have other trainers as well, but he's fantastic. He teaches such great professional skills like team building, communications, that kind of thing. But he also has a podcast. If any of you guys listen to podcasts, he has a really neat podcast on communication skills and the effects that communications have when you're interacting with other people. Because, we've all seen, wonderful, great leaders that still struggle with communicating, while other people just make it look so easy. They can communicate. What's the trick? So he has lots of guests on, and he runs these podcasts. Check it out sometime. It's so cool. We have free downloads, like shortcut downloads for shortcut keys for different applications. I created accessibility toolbars. So if you ever take the accessibility course with us, teaching accessibility in Word, Excel, making your documents accessible, I created these ribbons that you can put in your Word. So we have lots of these. We have a free blog. We have free training and consulting audits. We have a newsletter. So check out our free resources. Wonderful. Okay, now let me just see. I just want to check out the chat. Boy, you guys have really been chatting. Let me see here. So, I hope you were able to hear the webinar. Let's see here. I like that meatball option, Chris. Meatball option. Will Teams meetings be linked to Outlook? Okay, so Paula, Teams is supposed to be linked to your Outlook, but what's happened is a lot of people were thrown into Teams when we had this COVID thing hit. That seems like when everybody got thrown into Teams. And what happened was a lot of the organizations, they were not switched to the 365 software, Microsoft 365. Teams is a 365 software, but everybody wanted to use Teams. So what a lot of organizations did is they created 365 accounts for everybody so that you could access Teams, but they didn't switch Outlook to 365 yet. So some organizations, your Outlook is still 2013, 2016, but your Teams, you're using 365, and they haven't connected the two, but they are probably in the process of doing that. That's the newest version. So when they switch your Outlook to 365, then your Outlook's going to be connected to your Teams. So whatever you put in Outlook, it'll show on Teams. Whatever you put in Teams will show on Outlook. So you just have to wait for them to do that, but that's the way it should work. And yeah, Chris, you said, Paula, yes, it's possible. Interesting. We see it. PowerPoint presentation mode. When I was talking about sharing my screen in Teams, and I said there were all different ways of sharing your screen that I would teach you in class. One of the options for sharing is PowerPoint Live, and it's so much nicer if you're going to run a presentation to use PowerPoint Live to share instead of sharing your desktop or your application, because it runs it right inside of Teams. So you don't leave the Teams environment. You can still see the videos. You can still see the chat. It's great. Let's see. Do you know when MS will be able to auto translate? Oh, I keep looking for that, Chris, because I know they did announce that they were working on different translations for your you're talking about the transcripts and the captioning and things like that. So they did announce that they are going to be doing it in different languages, and I keep checking, and so far I haven't found anything yet. So I don't have an answer for you. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know when. I'd have to Google. I haven't searched it, I would say, for the last 2 months. So maybe they've announced something. The forum option. Yeah, so you don't have the forums option yet. You have to have a license by IT. Oh, that's very true. Again, if they got a 365 account for all of you guys so that you can use Teams, it doesn't mean that they have paid for the full 365 so that you have Microsoft Forms, Planner, To-Do, all those other apps that come with 365. So it could be that you don't have the forms option. I hope you do. I couldn't find the side navigation to scroll through the recording transcript. Paul, you didn't have, like, are you talking about this side navigation here where you switch between activity, chat, teams? Because you definitely need that. That's how you, this is your main navigation in Teams. So I could go to chat and that's where that team was that meeting's right there and everything was recorded. Huh. I'll get back to that in a minute. Yeah, I'll bug my IT staff. If you don't see the, yeah, so I talked about that email option. When I send a meeting invite, how can I see it in the Outlook calendar? The only way it appears in the Outlook calendar when you send a meeting invite. So let's say I go to my Teams calendar and I say I'm going to set up a meeting here. Whatever the meeting is, you have to actually add attendees. If you don't add attendees, it will not go on your calendar. That's the problem. They switched that a few months ago. So even if you've added a channel here, like the story ideas channel, even if there are, 20 people on your team and they have access to the channel, it still won't go on their calendar. You have to actually add them as attendees. That's been a real issue, people complaining about that. So maybe they'll change it, but that's how it will go on your calendar. What is a channel? A channel basically is, so you can create a team. You can create several teams. It can be by departments, like the finance department team, the HR department team. It could be by project. It could be something like maybe we're going to have a picnic in 2021. So you create a team for company picnic and add a bunch of people so that you can all have chats about it and share files and ideas. But then within a team, a channel is just a way of organizing all your chats and all your file sharing. It's like creating a subfolder kind of. So you create all these topics of conversation. So in the Awesome Movie Project team, one of the things we're going to be talking about is video editing. So why don't we create a video editing channel where we can have all of our conversations specific to video editing? But then we're also going to have a project party at the end. So anything about the project party, we'll click there and we'll have conversations in there so that everything's organized. It's a way of organizing all of your conversations. The Outlook address is, it's outlook.office.com. Outlook.office.com. Does the option to access email have to be in channels only? Yeah, you know what? It does. So to put that email tab, that's the only drawback. It has to be a tab inside a channel. There's no way of adding it to your app, your bar here, because it's only full applications that can be added to the bar. It has to be a tab inside a channel. I know that's the one thing I don't like about it. You're using a pilot version of Teams. You're not able to chat with one individual. Oh, I honestly, Linda, I haven't seen the pilot version. So I don't know what the capabilities are and what you're not able to do. So I don't, just the whole group is that due to the, it has to be then the pilot, or you're a guest or something like that, because unless they've restricted it, you might want to talk to your IT support just to see if they've restricted you chatting to individual team members. It could be set up at the back end that they don't let you chat to team members. There are so many things that they can restrict. So the first place I would go would be my IT people. You like the / command. They have the help. There's a help option on that navigation bar down at the bottom. There's a help option. Dark mode. Yeah, I think you can do dark mode in PowerPoint. I have to look. Is there a camera option in Teams to be able to zoom in or zoom? Oh, I don't think you, well, you can put yourself on highlight mode or whatever it's called, but that doesn't zoom in and zoom out of view unless they've just added the option recently. But I don't know of an option to zoom in and zoom out. I'd have to start a meeting to look. I wouldn't want people to zoom in on me. That's me. Can you? No, I don't think you can share two screens. You can only share one screen at a time. So if it's two windows that you have to show, you'd have to put them side by side on the same screen. You have another meeting. Oh, you're welcome. Tip of the day, use the three dots on the chat channel and click on mute. Oh yeah, the three dots on the chat and mute, so it pops up all the chats if they become very, very active. Another option, by the way, is inside a team, inside a channel. If I go to video editing channel, I've done this. If there's a conversation going on and people are just back and forth, replying, and it's not something that interests you and you keep getting notifications, you can mouse over that conversation and click the ... and you can say, where is it? Turn off notifications, and that'll turn it off for that conversation so that it just doesn't keep bothering you. How do you change your picture? Your little icon up here with your initials, if you click on it and then click right where your initials are here, you see that a little camera shows up. You can just click there and upload a picture. So if you have an avatar of yourself on your computer somewhere, you have to have a picture of yourself somewhere, like a photo or an avatar. Our company had avatars created for us, so we have our pictures. I'm not sure what you, Linda, what you mean by the /SP name will be a go around. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, you're welcome, Paula. Okay, Mark, you have to leave. Okay, I think I got to all your chat, all your questions. So I hope I haven't actually, I've had the chat window up. Oh wow, I still have 18 people here. You guys are great. It's 6 minutes after 1 and you stuck with it. That's so nice. Okay, so yeah, see you later, Selma. Oh, you're welcome, Shannon. Okay, so I'm going to end the webinar. We've gone 6 minutes over. I'm going to end the webinar. Hope you guys really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys attend the webinar next month that I'm doing. If you're interested in that Excel webinar, then we'll be able to chat again. So you guys have a really good day. I'll just pop up the if you want it, here's the information. I'll just put it here. You can take it down. I'll leave it on my screen for a minute. But that's it. You guys take care and have a great day. Bye, everybody.